Hello and welcome to the Wolfchase Toyota Insider, the Memphis Tiger Network. I'm Jeff Brightwell, joined by Daron Schoenrock. And Coach had the big challenge this weekend out at ECU, and that's going to be a big challenge for everyone in the league because everyone's a little over, a little below 500, except for ECU. They are a top 10 team. I guess in the long look in this thing is you've started out at Tulane, at ECU, so you've gotten 8 of your road games out of the way to start the conference season.
Yeah, and those two were picked 1 and 2 in the league. I think Tulane was picked 2.
Mm-hmm.
And we were in moments in both of those series against the 2 of the predicted best teams in the league on the road. We were in moments. Those teams are going to be hard to beat at home by anybody in our league. ECU I think matches up with just evaluating how hard they are to pitch to, how they grab individual moments. And the interesting thing, Jeff, is that at the moment we put a couple of good at-bats together against their starting pitcher, their bullpen was going immediately.
Yeah.
And they have a damage control guy every day. And the top 3 guys, they threw the first 2 days in a row, and they can go back-to-back days. So they're deep in that bullpen. Very similar to an Arkansas, very similar to what we saw at Vandy, probably deeper and better pitching staff than what Baylor has. So they're right in there with those top 10 teams that we played nationally, and they'll be a tough challenge for somebody to beat at home.
You talk about having to go to Greenville and play at Clark LeClaire. Very similar. I thought even back in our Conference USA days, Clark LeClaire and then Pete Taylor Park at Southern Miss were the 2 ballparks that stood out to me as you could sit in the radio booth or in the stands or probably even the dugout, and you could feel something happening as far as, oh no, here comes some sort of momentum swing against us. You better watch out at this point.
Yeah, and both those places are, and Conference USA and the American are very similar in that most of our universities are in big cities.
Yeah.
And so we're little fish in a big pond. There's a lot to do in Houston. There's a lot to do in Cincinnati. There's a lot to do in Tampa, Hattiesburg, and Greenville. Let's be honest. The thing to do is go to ECU
right.
or Southern Miss games. So the baseball crowds are more like an SEC crowd, and the crowd gets very knowledgeable crowds. I mean, they know when to cheer. They know when that moment comes. They know when and pivotal moment. Chris Durham throws a tremendous game on Sunday, comes out in a 1-to-1 game, and he gets a standing ovation from the ECU crowd. They appreciate baseball, and they understand baseball, and that's fun. That's fun to play in, but it also is a big time home advantage, like you've mentioned, and the crowd helps them grab those moments.
Well, fortunately, you get back home, you'll see Cincinnati. I was looking at some of their stuff. They're a little bit similar to you, and as I was looking at their schedule, they really went at it in the non-conference schedule. They got Wilmington, who we saw last year, Clemson, of course, their in-city rival in Xavier. They've had a game with Louisville. So very, very similar programs are going to face off in this 4-game series.
Yeah, Scott kind of set it up a lot like I did this year, and wanted to get his guys into some battles early. And it's just I think I may have overdone it because it beat us down pretty good mentally. But we are very similar clubs. And they are technically, they're the reigning, I guess, American Athletic Conference champs, aren't they?
Reigning champs.
They're the reigning champs. And so it'll be good to get back home. That's the thing is understanding how the 4-game series is good. It's a lot of baseball. It's in a great league. But playing the 4-gamer at home is a little bit better than playing it on the road, where you're in a strange place in a different bed. And so our guys are excited about that. I'm excited, Jeff, that I get this other real day of preparation. The Thursday not having to be a travel day. Now we can use Thursday to prepare a little bit more. We've gotten out of a whack in our strength and conditioning phase, where we couldn't get our lifts in the last 2 Thursdays because our COVID tests are so early in the morning that replaced the lift. And so now we get back to getting in the weight room twice this week. We get our pitchers back on a schedule now. We're getting a couple of pieces back in our weekend rotation that we've been without. So there's a lot of reasons why we're excited about this weekend, and a big one is that we're at home.
Last thing before we wrap it up, you're talking about how you stacked your rotation in Greenville. I'm sure it might look different this weekend, and I'm sure you look around the league to see how the other teams are doing it. It's a new thing, 4 games in 3 days, and I'm sure a lot of coaches and pitching staffs are tweaking things, more matchups rather than the traditional Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then a lot of times maybe what do you have left on Sunday, or do you flip it and go strong on the back end or strong on the front end?
Yeah, there's a lot of different, and we're all still, and even talking to the coaches, talking to Coach Godwin and Coach Jewett the first 2 weekends, we're all like, what do you, nobody really has the answers of how you plan a 4-game series. And what we've done is we've looked at some matchups of when, and the other question is catching your guy. Some people have a catcher that's just a defensive guy. They hit him in the 7th or 8th hole, like we had with Jason Santana, where hey, he's in there because of his defense. Let's just let him catch all 4 games. And it really, really physically beats you up. Your body is exhausted. Now, as much as we're relying on Hunter offensively, trying to catch him 4 games on the weekend is hard on him. And so we're having to kind of pick and choose and watch the weather and look at how humid it's going to be. Last weekend in Greenville, it was very warm and humid in the 80 something degrees. So we elected to not catch him 4 games. Now we're looking at the temps this weekend, and we're looking at 60 degrees. So you may see Hunter catch. We're just kind of, there's a lot of things like that. You're asking a guy to go back behind the plate for 18 innings and then hit home runs for you, that day. So 4 gamers are interesting. I'll be glad when they're gone, but it is what we're dealing with right now. And the neat thing about it, Jeff, is there's a lot of worse places you can be than at FedEx Park watching baseball. So I'm excited about this weekend.
Absolutely. Should be a fun one this weekend. We'll have the doubleheader on Friday. Coach, we will see you out there.
Thanks, Jeff. Thank you.
Head coach Daron Schoenrock. I'm Jeff Brightwell with the Wolfchase Toyota Insider on the Memphis Tiger Network.